The morning sun poured through the towering glass windows of one of the city's most prestigious office buildings as people in expensive suits hurried through the polished lobby, each carrying dreams, deadlines, and secrets. Among them walked a tired single father named Grant Holloway, wearing a neatly pressed but faded work shirt, carrying a worn leather toolbox that had belonged to his late father. He had no idea that within the next few minutes, one simple mistake would completely rewrite the future of his life. He was only there to repair a faulty air conditioning unit, but after taking the wrong elevator and opening the wrong conference room door, he stepped into the middle of a private executive meeting. Every face turned toward him in stunned silence. Before security could remove him, the powerful CEO unexpectedly stood up, looked directly into his exhausted eyes, and made a decision that left everyone in the room speechless. Before we continue this emotional journey, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise if you believe that one act of compassion can completely change a person's life. Grant had never imagined becoming a single father. Just 4 years earlier, he had been happily married, working as an electrician while raising his cheerful little daughter, Ava. Life changed overnight after a tragic highway accident took his wife away forever. Since then, every sunrise had been a reminder that he alone carried the responsibility of being both father and mother. Every morning began before dawn. He prepared breakfast, braided Ava's hair after watching dozens of online tutorials, packed her school lunch, dropped her off with a warm smile, and then rushed between repair jobs across the city. He never complained because every sacrifice was made for the little girl who still believed her father could fix anything. Money, however, could not be repaired as easily as broken machines. Medical bills from his wife's final days, rent increases, school expenses, and an aging pickup truck kept pushing Grant further into debt. Some evenings he skipped dinner so Ava could enjoy her favorite homemade pasta. Other nights he quietly patched holes in her shoes instead of buying new ones. Yet no matter how difficult life became, he refused to let his daughter see despair. To her, he remained the strongest man in the world. That bright Tuesday morning, Grant received an emergency maintenance assignment at the headquarters of a billion-dollar technology company. It was his first time inside such an impressive building. Marble floors reflected the sunlight like mirrors, fresh flowers decorated every hallway, and employees confidently moved between meetings carrying sleek laptops. Feeling slightly out of place, Grant followed the directions written on his work order. Unfortunately, a distracted employee accidentally pointed him toward the executive elevator instead of the maintenance lift. When the doors opened on the top floor, Grant assumed he had arrived at the correct destination. He noticed a large wooden door slightly open and believed the maintenance manager was waiting inside. Without hesitation, he gently pushed it open. The room instantly fell silent. Around an enormous conference table sat the company's senior executives, investors, and legal advisors. Large digital screens displayed financial projections worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Grant immediately realized his mistake. Embarrassment flooded his face as he apologized and began stepping backward. Before anyone else reacted, CEO Miranda Ashcroft calmly raised her hand, stopping the security staff from approaching him. Something about Grant's exhausted expression caught her attention. It wasn't simply that he looked poor. It was the quiet dignity in the way he stood, apologizing without making excuses, protecting his worn toolbox as though it contained something priceless. She noticed family photographs taped inside the toolbox lid whenever it briefly opened. One picture showed a smiling little girl hugging her father. Instead of asking him to leave immediately, Miranda politely asked why he looked so worried. Grant answered honestly. He explained that he had entered the wrong room, that he couldn't afford to lose this contract because every dollar helped support his daughter, and that he simply wanted to finish his work before picking her up from school. The executives exchanged uncomfortable glances. Most expected the CEO to dismiss him and continue the meeting. Instead, Miranda quietly postponed the meeting. She asked Grant to accompany her as she personally walked him to the maintenance department. Along the way she learned about Ava, about his late wife, and about the constant balancing act between earning enough money and being present for his daughter. There was no self-pity in his voice, only determination. That afternoon, after completing the repair far more efficiently than expected, Grant prepared to leave. Before he reached the lobby, Miranda invited him to her office once more. Unknown to Grant, she had spent years funding scholarships and family support programs because she herself had lost both parents during childhood. She recognized something familiar in Grant's quiet resilience. She understood that the strongest people were often those carrying invisible burdens. Rather than offering charity, she offered opportunity. The company had struggled for months with maintenance contractors who overcharged and delivered poor quality work. Miranda proposed a long-term facilities management contract for Grant's small repair business. It included stable income, health insurance, flexible scheduling that allowed him to remain available for Ava, and training opportunities to help him expand his company. Grant could barely believe what he was hearing. Over the following months, everything slowly began to change. The constant fear of unpaid bills disappeared. He repaired his aging truck, moved into a safer neighborhood with better schools, and finally replaced Ava's patch shoes with new ones she proudly wore every day. Most importantly, he was home each evening in time to help with homework, read bedtime stories, and laugh without worrying about tomorrow's rent. Miranda occasionally visited the maintenance team, never treating Grant differently from anyone else. She respected him because he had earned every opportunity through honesty, hard work, and integrity. The employees soon noticed that the happiest person in the building wasn't an executive wearing an expensive suit. It was the single father carrying the same old toolbox, now polished but never replaced, because it reminded him where his journey had begun. Months later, the company hosted its annual Family Appreciation Day. Ava proudly walked beside her father through the same front entrance where he had once nervously arrived looking for a repair assignment. This time employees greeted him by name. Ava stared in amazement as dozens of people thanked her father for always helping whenever something needed fixing. Miranda watched the father and daughter laughing together beneath the bright afternoon sky outside the building. She realized that success was never measured by profits alone. It was measured by the lives transformed through compassion and the courage to see potential where others saw only mistakes. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise so together we can continue spreading stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Before we finish, please leave a comment and tell us, what one act of kindness has changed your life forever? Grant often told Ava that the biggest moments in life rarely arrive with perfect plans. Sometimes they begin with a wrong turn, an unexpected door, and someone brave enough to choose compassion over judgment. The room he entered by mistake became the doorway to a future neither of them could have imagined. His story became a reminder that even on ordinary mornings, under the warm light of a beautiful day, hope can quietly be waiting behind the door you never intended to open. But if you'd like, I can also generate 10 cinematic image prompts, an SEO description, 8 keywords, 8 hashtags, and a YouTube disclaimer for this story.